All right, I have everyone else accounted for, Mayor, except for Nick, then it's on. We still have, I think, 2 minutes.
Okay.
Soon. I love you.
Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Village of Northfield regular council meeting of August 12th, 2020. We get the roll call, please.
Mayor Nihad,
Here.
Mr. Magistrelli, Mr. Zur,
Here.
Ms. Domzowski,
Here.
Mr. Hips,
Here.
Ms. Nowak,
Here.
Mr. Voitush,
Here.
Mr. Bryan,
Here,
Mr. Wazowski,
Here.
Chief Zolgis,
You know, he can be in here, but that's it, okay?
Chief Fuss,
Here.
There you go.
Mr. Walters,
Thank
And
you for all your
I-
help.
I am here.
Absolutely.
Okay, can we get the approval of the minutes of July 22nd?
So moved.
Second.
motion by Ms. Nowak, seconded by Mr. Hips. Any comments, questions, or amendments? Okay, hearing none. Mr. Scheer,
Yes.
Ms. Nowak,
Yes.
Mr. Voitush,
Yes.
Mr. Hips,
Yes.
Ms. Domzowski.
Yes.
Minutes are approved.
Okay, moving on to reports of municipal officers. The mayor would like to report that there's been
Mayor,
a little.
if I can stop you, we have the Akron Zoo presentation. Jen Clark,
I
the
apologize.
zoo is here.
I apologize.
Okay,
All right, well, good evening. Thank you for allowing me to be here tonight. Yes, my name is Jennifer Clark, and I'm here at the Akron Zoo. I have worked here now for over 16 years, and I work as an animal ambassador keeper. So if you're not familiar with what that is, I work with the animals that go out into the community and do education. We have over 100 animals that we take out. We go all over. We go to schools, libraries, nursing homes, community events. Anyone that wants us to be there will be there teaching about the animals that we care for. I did bring one of our ambassadors with me tonight to share with all of you. I thought it would be fun. Grab him right now.
You could.
And it's not a tiger. Our ambassadors are smaller, safe animals to be around to take into classrooms and things. This guy here is Lewis, and he is our prehensile-tailed skink. So these guys are found in the rainforest of the Solomon Islands off the coast of New Guinea. They live in the rainforest, really, really high up in the trees. So all our ambassadors, we have a lot of different things to talk about with people, no matter what age they are. The little kids love his tongue, and the fact that he uses his tongue to smell just blows their minds. It's also a great message about rainforest and deforestation, and unfortunately animals like Lewis are endangered. So we talk a lot about what kids can do, or anyone can do, to help any of our endangered animals as well. But the one last thing I wanted to show you about Lewis is he's got this really long tail. I don't know if you can see. They're also known as a monkey-tailed skink. He's not going to do it now, of course, but he can wrap that tail around and hold on. So it helps him when he's like 100 feet up in the trees. And that tail's interesting. I was actually talking to a group of high school students about biomimicry. So even the older kids, we have things that they can relate to, because sometimes scientists look to science to solve things that help us, make our everyday life easier. So this tail is actually studied by NASA scientists because they used it to improve upon the robotic arms of the space shuttle. So pretty cool animals. This is just one of our 100 animal ambassadors that go out and do programming. They're accustomed to being around people, so this is their job, this is what they do, and I think it's a really important job. That's why I wanted to bring him tonight. So you can this little thing. All right. Go ahead and put him back. I do have a quick presentation, a slideshow, and I know that you've had a chance to look at that. I'll move through it very quickly. I don't want to take up much of your time. And at the end, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those for you if I can, and if I can't, I can definitely get someone who can answer that.
You can't have it.
I'd like to share my screen now and show the presentation.
What?
One
Jen?
moment, please.
Yeah, Jen, I don't know if you're going to be able to, but we did send out your presentation materials to everyone on council, so everyone should have them, but I don't think, unless somehow we can make you the host, we can let you share the screen.
Are you able to see?
Okay, yep, you got it. Good, perfect.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and.
Hmm?
All right.
Are you okay?
All right. So what we do at the Akron Zoo is we
Hold
connect
on,
you-
hold on. Someone is talking in the audience, and you need to mute yourself, because you're disturbing the meeting right now. I don't know who it is, but if you could please mute yourself, that'd be much appreciated. Thank you.
Okay. So our mission here at the Akron Zoo is to connect your life to wildlife while inspiring lifelong learning, action, and conservation. And that's kind of what we're doing with our ambassadors. We're giving people a chance to look at these animals. It's one thing to see them through a computer screen or a TV screen, but when you see them in person and you can look at them from different angles, you can smell them, which sounds weird, but animals smell different, and even touch some of our animals. It really makes that connection with our community. And we do hope that that will get people to want to take those conservation actions. So here at the Akron Zoo, we have our 3 core values. Those are community, education, and conservation. This slide just shows our attendance from 2011. You can see our attendance continues to grow. And I think it's important to note that, yes, 40% of our guests are from Summit County. However, we do bring in about 60% of our guests are from surrounding counties or even states. So we really do bring business and economy into Summit County, and we really are one of the top attractions in Summit County. And so for every dollar of levy money that's invested in our zoo, we are able to return that in the form of $8. And what really put this into perspective to me was, so for approximately $67 million invested in levy funding, we were able to give back over $500 million in return, returned into the economy. And that's in, all the construction that we're doing, the cost of the goods that it takes to keep us running. And I think that's a good thing to note as well. Since 2011, the number of jobs supported throughout Summit County, it's grown by 40%. So that's nearly 800, that's equivalent to 850 full-time equivalents. And that's not even mentioning the over 100 jobs of staff members here at the Akron Zoo. Now, what we're about at the Akron Zoo is really about getting people close to wildlife. And all of our habitats are built in such a way to really get people nose to nose with the animals, whether it's nose to nose, or I should say in this picture, like nose to beak, to really give people those unique views. A lot of our guests do come from inner city, and this may be the first time they've ever seen some of these animals. So we really want to give them that amazing up close view. The other thing we love to do is teach. And last year alone, just in 2019, we were able to serve over 91,000 individuals through our education programming. And our education programming, we do it in a lot of different ways. We do field trips, and I know your community did visit us, as well as on-grounds programs that take place here at the zoo, and then also our outreach programs, like I mentioned earlier. We served over 81 school districts, and this picture is actually me with one of our awesome animal ambassadors. This is Forrest, the North American porcupine. You may be wondering what he's doing here. I trained him to do this behavior for our vet staff to take care of him. So porcupines do have about 30,000 quills covering their body, which makes it hard to get up close. But the stomach does not have any quills. So our vet staff can actually listen to his heartbeat in his lungs, and he's very comfortable with this. But we were able to take that behavior and bring it into the classroom and give our community members a chance to listen to a porcupine heartbeat. And it's things like this that really makes that connection between the animals and our guests. And I think this girl really enjoyed doing that. And I always enjoy giving people those opportunities. So we do help to save endangered species. We do participate in 46 species survival plans, as well as 21 conservation projects, both locally and globally. We are part of the AZA, and if you're not familiar with that, that is the American Zoological Association. And to put that into perspective, so there are 2,500 facilities that have licenses to have animals, and only 237 are accredited. So to become accredited, it's a very rigorous process. We are actually we are inspected by professionals. They come in every 7 years to keep this accreditation, and they're not just looking at our animal care, they're looking at the entire operation. They look at the welfare, the vet care, the conservation messaging, education, guest services, our facilities, safety, staffing. They're even looking at our financing, making sure that we're being responsible with the money that we are getting. They're looking at it all, the entire operation, to be sure that we can keep that accreditation, sorry. And I think one thing I do tell people all the time is I think we should all be proud, being members of Summit County, that we do have an accredited zoo right here in our community. The levy funding, it's allowed us to expand. And I can speak from the heart about this because I worked at the Akron Zoo in the late 90s. I actually went to college over at the University of Akron, and I was a keeper here, and it was before the levy. It was a lot different. I don't know if any of you remember back then, but when I told people that I worked at the Akron Zoo, their comment would be, oh, Akron has a zoo? I didn't know. And then I left. I went to SeaWorld of Ohio, and then I came back when SeaWorld closed, and when I came back, the levy had passed, and the change has been amazing. Almost the entire zoo has been rebuilt. I can only identify 3 buildings that are even left from the late 90s. So the entire zoo is now, our habitats are state of the art, and we now have over 1,000 animals that call Akron Zoo home. So I do not get that response anymore about, oh, Akron has a zoo. People now know our zoo, and I think we're all really proud of it. So we will be on the November 3rd ballot. We are requesting a 0.8 mil renewal levy with a 0.4 mil increase, so 1.2 total. And to put that into perspective, it's about $2.92 a month for the owner of a $100,000 home. And this is the first time since we passed our original levy that we've actually asked for an increase. Now, we love to give back to the community, and we do that in a lot of different ways. One way is through Community Appreciation Days, where our community can come in and visit for free. And we've been doing that since 2001, and I'll go over that here in just a minute. Here's another list of things that we do. You can read through those yourself, but the one I wanted to point out was Dream Night with Akron Children's. That's a really special one. We have a special event for children that are dealing with very serious health issues. They may not be able to come to the zoo during the day, it might be too hot, too crowded, but they get to come in at night and they get to star treatment. We have all the carousel rides, train rides, free food, entertainment, crafts. We had a helicopter come in last year. So these kids have one night where they can just forget about, maybe the fact that they're dealing with these serious health issues and just be a kid and have a lot of fun. And that's, I think, one of the most special events that we do for our community, along with Children's Hospital. So by supporting the levy, you're supporting the Summit County economy, education, obviously the wildlife and the conservation. We do a lot of STEM programming. I did a STEM program with St. Paul a few years back where we designed a harness for a porcupine, which is a lot of fun. And it's just a great zoo to bring your family to and enjoy the day together in a safe environment. Continuing to support the levy, we have a lot of big plans, things we'd like to do. We'd like to continue increasing our partnerships with schools and organizations. The community has told us they want giraffes, and we've heard it loud and clear. And that is something in the future we may be able to add. It's definitely something that there have been preliminary talks about, but obviously we need to pass that levy before we can move forward on that. So your community days will be, it looks like September 12th through the 25th. And to get your tickets, it's going to be different than last year. So I'm going to briefly just go over that so you can let your constituents know. They will be able to get their tickets 2 weeks before your community days. So August 29th through September 11th, and it will all be online this year. It's not going to take place in the zoo due to COVID. It'll be online. So you can go into our website, put up to 4 tickets into your cart and a parking pass into your cart. And when you check out, you will not be charged the tickets. You will only be charged for the $3 parking. So that's how that will work. And there are 2 ways you can endorse our campaign, and that is either personally or by a council vote. And there is a form included on the last page of the presentation if you do so feel to do that. And that takes us to the end. Here's all our contact information. Please reach out to us if you do have any questions. And I can try to answer questions now if anyone has any questions for me. All right. Well, please, again, don't hesitate to contact us if you do later come up with any questions. I really appreciate you allowing us to be here tonight and speak. I know you're busy, and thank you for allowing Lewis and I to join you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you.
Okay, we're moving on to reports of municipal officers. The mayor would just like to report that the Dollar General is a little behind schedule. So I think we're looking more into early September, late September for an opening there. There will not be a grand opening, so to speak, because of COVID-19, but we're looking at sometime in September at this point. If I hear anything different, I'll let you know. Moving on to the finance director, Ms. Potvin.
So this evening on the agenda, I do have our second budget amendment ordinance, and the 2 items on that ordinance are the cardiac monitors that Chief Buss will be talking about later, and also I am proposing that we pay off the 2018 Ford Medics ambulance. That is our newest ambulance. We have roughly 4 years left on our loan. Unfortunately, the market rate that we are being charged on that loan is no longer what I would consider market price. And at this point, we're looking at saving more money by simply paying it off early. And that's why that is on the budget amendment for this evening. And that is all I have.
Thank you, Ms.
I have a
Potvin.
question.
Yes,
Is that our ambulance or is that the track ambulance?
It is the ambulance that we purchased, and they are contributing funds toward every year. But yes, it is
Okay,
that
so
ambulance.
it is the track ambulance and they're
Yes, it
paying
is.
for that.
Yes.
Yes.
Are they going to pay us early on that so we don't have any out-of-pocket fees?
No, they are
Or is
not.
that something,
No, they are
they're not
gonna
doing
pay us,
any of that?
but we are going to save $3,300 by paying it off early.
Okay. Will we continue to receive their portion of that since it will be paid off?
Yes,
Yes,
Gary, they're required to make a payment every year. I think it's in May.
correct.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. That concludes your report, Ms. Podvin?
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to the engineer, Mr. Wasowski.
The traffic signal pole for Ledge Road
Rich,
is
Yes.
going to be shipped from Union Meadow next week. Yes?
we're hearing echoing. Are you on your phone?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, the computer started
Yeah, the
working again.
computer started working
Okay,
again.
so-
I'm gonna just go on my phone. It's easier.
Okay, yeah,
I'm
please
gonna
don't
just
turn off.
go
I
on my
cannot hear you.
phone. It's easier.
The traffic signal pole that's damaged on.
Rich, you're
Okay.
still getting echo.
Yeah, if
Okay,
you can
hold
get
on
them
a
farther
second,
away
Mayor.
from your computer or turn the computer off, I think would be good.
Yeah, turn the computer off because it'll probably just die anyway.
Yeah,
here.
turn the computer off because it'll probably just die anyway here.
Okay, you hear me
Yes,
now?
thank you.
Okay.
Yes,
The traffic signal pole at Ledge Road that was damaged should be shipped from Union Meadow next week. It goes to the painter, and the painter normally takes about 2 weeks to do the painting of the pole, and then they'll ship it to Signal Service to install it. So in September, hopefully, the new pole will be up. We'll need 2 police officers there to direct traffic while we're doing that work. And I'll let them know when the day comes for that. The Russo Pizza flooding and North Plaza flooding area. I'm almost done with my study. Unfortunately, to do a complete solution to the problem is going to be extremely expensive, and we're not going to be able to afford that ourselves. We'd have to get issue 1 money to help pay for 50% if we got a grant, or 90% if we got a loan. Some of you may recall that in 2008 we had a grant for fixing the lower end of that, all of Houghton Road and the area across the service department. We had a 50% grant, and we kept it for 2 years, and we could not come up with our 50%, so we had to turn back that money. And so we didn't do that project in 2008. The upper part near the shopping center, we never applied for money there. So right now, just keep in mind that if you want to do something, you really should look at going for issue 1 money to do this and apply for a grant. And that'd be the earliest you can apply now is for next 2000 applications for 2021. So the money wouldn't come to 2022.
And that, the application would be due the end of June, right? Beginning of July of next year, Rich?
Next, they haven't set a date because of this Corona funding throughout the state. The issue 2 funding is
The issue 2 funding
has gotten delayed, and there's no date put on it. But the application normally goes in the first week in July now, normally, but there's no set date as of now.
Thanks.
You have on the agenda tonight to approve a lease to put up that temporary detention by Handel's Ice Cream, and I concur with what Jason Walters is doing there, but that detention basin only serves less than 2% of the total drainage area that goes through Russo's property. So it's a very small amount, but it will help a little bit, a very little bit. But that we should do, since the land's not costing us anything to do that. It's fairly cheap installation of putting up that earthen wall basically there. And now the last thing is the new EPA MS4, that's municipal separate storm sanitary sewer systems. And that's what we have in Northfield. The new requirements, they're circulating now for comment by the federal government. They should take effect this fall. As of all these things environmentally, every time they issue something, it's more regulation. And this will occur. We'll have to do more stuff. The finals won't come out for probably at least another month. We won't get the final document on this. But just something to keep in mind, that this is growing on what's required on the environmental stuff. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Rich.
Rich, question on the Russo's
Yeah.
Pizza. What storm are you designing for when you're factoring these things? And then what level storm are we seeing the flooding?
Well, for the final design, because of the flooding of a building, you should design for a 100-year storm to protect the building from flooding for a 100-year storm. Normally, storm sewers would be designed for a 10-year storm, but that's if they're just flooding streets and tree lawns and basically property that's not of immense value. When you're doing buildings, you normally look at a 100-year design. The flooding that's occurring now, the floods we had in July and May, one was a 2-year storm, and one was about a 7-year storm. But the pipe underneath State Route 8 at Russo's, it's basically only can handle it's almost a 2-year storm. It's way undersized. And to give you an idea, coming into the pipe going under the road, there's a 48-inch pipe, a 30-inch pipe, and a 24-inch pipe. And going out, there's 2 30-inch pipes and a 2x2 little box. So what's going out is less than half the size of what's coming in. And that just doesn't work. And we looked at a couple years ago replacing underneath State Route 8 with a 4x10 box culvert, the same as is on Beach Avenue downstream. It's a 4x10. That's the size you need there if you just want to transport the flow. But the problem you're getting into here is if you're straight transforming flow, you're transferring it downstream to somebody else. And we can transport it all through Northfield Village and not damage anything. It's going to cost quite a bit of money to do that, but we can do that. But then it's going to go into Sagamore Hills. And that's something we have to think about if we want to do that or not.
So the
not
largest
enough-
contributor to the imperviousness of the surface over there is the plaza. Plaza roof,
Oh,
plaza
yes.
lot, everything
yes.
over
That's
there is no
by
retention
far.
basin for that plaza. So we are going
Right.
to spend village money to mitigate a flood caused by one property owner to another property owner. Couldn't the property owner that's being flooded just sue the other property owner and make them deal with their own water that they're debauching
Well,
on?
I can say that he wants, but he's not going to win. He's just not going to win because when those properties were developed, there weren't any regulations for doing this. So the shopping center, when it was developed, fully complied with regulations. There was actually no EPA. The EPA didn't exist when that shopping center was built. So he has, and he's Russo's the downstream property owner. The downstream property owner has to accept the upstream water if it's reasonable. And when that shopping center was built, it was reasonable. It was zoned for that sort of use, shopping center or business. He developed it that way. That's reasonable use. He was allowed to transport the water downstream, and he did. And he got his approvals from the government. That, you know, his plans were approved by governmental agencies, which was basically the village, and the county may have been involved, but I really don't know. The village certainly had to approve it. So it's not gonna, that suit's not going to go anywhere. If he was, if it was grassland today, Alan, if it was grassland today, and he was building a shopping center, he would definitely have to build retention there, or detention.
Right.
But
So
Rich,
if the plaza were to be purchased in the next 5 years and redeveloped, it would need to comply as well. So the problem could mitigate on its own versus the village spending a large amount of money to mitigate private water.
But also, let's not forget, guys, let's not forget that property did not have a Handles or a McDonald's on it at the time. So now that we've added those, also are contributing to the problem.
I looked at that. Handles and McDonald's actually only put a small additional amount, because most of the area of Handles and McDonald's was actually paved before. It was a parking lot before, and now they put a building on it. So you get the same runoff. And actually, McDonald's, when I looked at it more closely, McDonald's actually is retaining some of the water in their own parking lot by the use of putting their curbing in there and where they put their catch basins. They are retaining some of their own water, not very much, but they're not the big problem. The problem is in older developments, they were built without these regulations of retention, and you can't, even if a new owner came in and purchased the shopping center, and if he kept the same amount of impervious area, we'd be hard pressed, or anybody would be hard pressed to bring some suit against him and win. If he puts more in, yes, you can go in and say you have to provide retention for that additional amount of impervious area you're putting in. And we do that all over in cities and villages. And if we put additional pervious area in, we put retention in for that additional amount. But not something that's been approved.
But Rich, the entire property is got a parking lot in it now. They're not going to be adding impervious area.
Basically not. You're right. You're right there. You're right. Yeah, what we're talking about here is that's damaged is the building that has the pizza shop in and the other little the other three shops there.
And that was
the
built
property
after the
behind
plaza,
it.
Rich, right?
I'm sorry?
That was built
I didn't
after
hear
the
you.
plaza was already in, correct?
I believe it was, but I don't know the exact date of that. I'm pretty sure it was, though, because they show on the plaza plans the ditch they cut. There was actually, between State Route 8 and Russo's building, there used to be a ditch there, a big ditch. And they filled that in with a pipe. Somebody put a pipe in there later on. And they built that ditch all the way down through to Beach Avenue and or widen it out. And then they put the pipe in on Houghton Road, that 48-inch pipe. The Plaza Shopping Center actually put that 48-inch pipe on the bottom of Houghton Road. They paid for that. So they put a system in to drain their facilities and get the water to the stream down by Victory. The Russo building is extremely, if you look at it, you'll see it's extremely low compared to the roadway. So any water that comes over that curb line is going to go right down to the building. And it has no sidewalk in front of it with a lip on that water can run along the sidewalk rather than going right through the front doors of the building.
I have a hard time
So-
asking the village residents to pay for somebody's poor design. They could tear out their parking lot, they could regrade, they could put in a curb, they can mitigate their issue on their own. I don't feel that the village needs to spend a penny on this.
Mhm. That's a legitimate view. I have no problem with that view, Mr. Hips. I don't have a problem with that.
Hey, Rich,
Yeah.
we've been talking about this for years, about the problems over there at Russo's Pizza. Why all of a
Yeah.
sudden did this come to the forefront?
Well, because he complains about it. If you looking in his shoes, if you own the building and you get flooded, you're gonna be upset about it. He said, you're the owner, you're paying taxes. I'm getting flooded. So I pay taxes. The village fixed it for me. I didn't cause the flood. Well, you can say you didn't cause the flooding, but it's like if your house flooded, Gary.
Rich, it's all four businesses that are in that plaza that are complaining to us. All four.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one I hear, well, the other ones haven't personally complained to me. But they all have a gripe because they all get water in them. Yeah.
And there's plenty of other available tenant spaces somewhere else. They can feel free to move their lease somewhere else and let the market pander this one out.
Well, that's a definitely true statement, Mr. Hips. There's no question about that. Yeah. It's a decision that the village government, council and the mayor have to decide if or what they want to do anything about that particular situation. I'm just telling you, to fix it, it's going to cost a lot of money. And I'm talking over $500,000.
Are we good? Does that complete the report, Mr. Rutowski?
Yes, that's it, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Bryan, Law Director.
Thanks, Mayor. I have nothing to report this evening unless anyone has any questions.
Hearing none, moving on. Department heads. Police Chief John Zolgis is not present. He'll be at our next regular scheduled council meeting. Moving on to Jason Bust, the Fire Chief.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. Hope you guys are all doing well. Just a quick couple things to go over. There's legislation for a new part-time paramedic, Christian Bobek, tonight. He just recently graduated from paramedic school at Auburn Career Center. He's coming on board to help with our racetrack ambulance squad. I don't know if I'll just need to do a swearing in with the mayor or Brad in the office, or if I just do the swearing in of him officially, but I'd like to get the legislation passed, so start setting up training dates. We had a meeting, Brad and the mayor, earlier talking about the fire station, and basically with COVID, it's pretty much a hold for the beginning of next year at least. The main issue is logistics. We can't really have people coming into a building and compromising the operations of the fire department in the middle of a pandemic. So that's our update on that. I briefly talked about the fire engine last time. My committee's still working on it. I hope to, by the end of the year, call a fire safety meeting together where my group of firefighters who are working on that can present to you guys. They've been doing a lot of hard work. So we can understand more of that process. Again, my goal would be to get that project passed in next year's budget for hopefully delivery in 22. Our long-term Heights or Northfield Village, I remember where I'm at, does have 2 staff members who tested positive for COVID-19. We were notified by Summit County Public Health, taking all they need to deal with that situation. I haven't been notified of any patients. in that facility coming down with team. But as that changes, I can keep everyone updated with that. Just something I've put in my report before that I don't know if everyone's seen. Summit County, there are 3,500 cases of coronavirus. It's currently running a 6.3 fatality rate in Summit County. So it is a significant number. I know in the media we hear it's not the flu, it's less than 1%. Well, in our community, we're running 6.3%. So just something to remember when we hear all the different TV. Last council meeting, we talked about the storm warning siren replacement. At that meeting, we did pass the amount of the siren. Initially, the siren was supposed to be part of the building project. Installing that siren were kind of built into the. I reached out to Century Siren, who makes the siren. I asked, so what does it cost for me to get the pole installed, all the wiring done to the ground, building? Can you guys provide that service? They said, yes, they can. They sent me, I emailed all you guys, and it's $7,000 to do that. No, that's not the amount of money we planned on, so I put it out to the mayor and council on what you want me to do at this point. Do we want to go forward with it, or do we want to hold?
The siren? Yes, we want to go through with it. Yes.
But there's an additional $7,000 that would need to be approved.
Oh, I thought you said it was less.
Could I ask Rich a question?
About what?
Yeah, go ahead.
About the siren. Rich, can we use that pole from Ledge Road, or do we have to return that pole? Is that a possibility of using that pole and maybe cut our costs a little bit, or no?
I don't know what the insurance company is going to require. The insurance company paid for the pole and paid for the installation.
Okay. All right.
And, you know, like with your car, sometimes they make you give up if they pay full damages, they make you give your car up to them. I can ask Signal Service if
I mean, that might be an alternative.
Gary's not wrong.
Might be an
The pole's
alternative
expensive.
for that.
Yeah, so Gary's not,
Yeah.
Councilman Wojciech isn't wrong, that there could be some savings. We would just have to have it reinstalled.
If that's a possibility, I don't know.
Well, let's look into it.
Yeah, I'll talk to Signal Service about that and see what happened here, Gary. Signal Service gave the insurance company a price to do all the work, fix it, you know, buy the pole, put it in. I don't know if that price included them keeping the pole. Normally, our procedure is, not only in this village, in most cities, we let the contractors take most of the old equipment with them because we end up never using it again. You know, it's just garbage to us, just junk. So we just say, like the signal heads and that, when you bid the contract, you're putting up new signal heads, you take the old ones with you because we're not going to use them again. So if he based his quote to the insurance company on that, then it's basically his pole. But if he didn't, if he's just going to scrap it or something,
maybe we can get it if it'll work.
I'll ask him. I'll call him up and ask him about that.
Okay.
And what was included in that quote was a Class 2 utility pole. I'm not biggest up to speed on what the different types of utility poles are, but that's all it's quoted as, is a Class 2 utility pole. I don't know if it means more to Rich.
Yeah, you're gonna get a wooden pole.
Mm-hmm.
If that was your quote, you're getting a wooden pole.
So, I guess I'm just looking for guidance from council on what you want me to do.
Can we see if this other pole, if we can get that and it'll save us some money on it? Can we put this off for the next 2 weeks and then we can decide on it in 2 weeks?
I don't think that's a problem.
I would feel better doing that after Rich finds out if we could use that pole.
Okay.
The only
I'll give him a call tomorrow.
The only problem that
Thank you, Rich.
The only problem that
Go
I
ahead.
see would have with that pole is the height of it. I mean, because I see those sirens, they're way higher than than a.
Yeah, I was wondering that myself.
Yeah, but we could check into it. No problem.
All right, so we'll wait. And if Rich, you just want to email me what you hear,
Yeah.
and then,
Yeah,
go ahead.
well, I'll check tomorrow if he gets, if Lance up talking tomorrow, I'll just email you. As soon as he gets back to me on it, I'll email you what's happening on that.
All right, I appreciate that. And then I have is I did send an email to everyone. I put in a fire grant earlier in the year to replace our two old LifePath 12 cardiac monitors that were actually coming up on 12 years old. I wasn't sure I would get this grant, and I was lucky to get this grant to replace our two oldest cardiac monitors with two new ones. It's about $75,000. Each monitor runs about $28,000. And there's a service contract I put in for there. It's about $6,000 a monitor for the 4 years. This quote is getting the service contract for 6 years. So I'm pretty happy about that. The grant covers 95%, which leaves our local cost share at most about $3,500. As part of the grant, I do need a council motion to formally accept the grant by August 30th. If someone could make that motion tonight, I'd appreciate it.
I'd like to make the motion to accept that.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Voitish, seconded by Ms. Noack. Any other questions regarding the grant?
The only other items I have on it, and I've talked to
Jason,
Jennifer,
wait,
and I
if
think,
we can call, we got to call the vote. So,
Okay.
Mr. Sheriff,
Yes.
Ms. Noack,
Yes.
Mr. Voitish,
Yes.
Mr. Hips,
Yes.
Ms. Mzalski.
Yes.
Okay, motion's approved. And go ahead, Jason.
yeah, and so I believe Jennifer already has the changes and the fund line items, the federal grants and the capital grant. I talked to her earlier this week or last week about this. I believe that she has that in her legislation tonight. And as far as the actual purchasing of the monitors, it comes from a sole source vendor. It's Stryker Medical. There's only one dealer in Ohio, and they are based off Ohio State contract. So as everything's approved, I do plan on moving this project through pretty quick. So, any other questions on that?
Oh, congratulations on getting it.
Thank you. And that is all I have tonight.
All right, thank you.
Jason, could I ask you a question?
Yes.
Christian Boback,
Yes.
are they on any other department or no?
I believe he did an initial time at Painesville Township or Painesville City. I don't have the application. But then when he went back into paramedic, he stopped there to focus on paramedic school. So I think he did 6 to 8 months as a firefighter basic out in. Now I always get those two cities confused, which one's which.
Okay.
He went to paramedic
I was just
school.
wondering.
He's pretty new. Pretty new.
Okay. I was just wondering how much time he would have to put in for the village, but it sounds like he's pretty
He's looking
accessible.
to put some time in, and that's why I'm looking for a pretty reliable paramedic to work a lot of them hours, and I'm hoping he will be.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, moving on. Jason Walters will be at our next regular scheduled council meeting. Moving on.
Mayor, we do have a motion under Jason's report to approve the proposal from Stewart Landscaping to do that stormwater detention berm project work in the plaza.
Okay,
So
sure.
the amount of that quote was $6,625 to Stewart Landscaping. So if someone wants to make a motion to approve it, unless anyone has any questions or.
Do we need to skip the 3 reading rule?
No, it's just a motion.
I will make that motion.
Okay, motion by Ms. Domzowski. Is there a second?
Crickets.
Second.
Seconded by
Second.
Ms. Noack. Does anyone have any questions?
You hear me?
Yes. Yes, Ms. Noack seconded, but motion's on the floor. Does anyone have any questions or comments before we call the vote? Okay, Mr. Scher,
Yes.
Ms. Noack, Ms. Noack? She's frozen, it looks like. All right, we'll skip her. Mr. Vojtich,
Yes.
Mr. Hibbs,
No.
Domzowski?
Yes.
All right, it is sufficient votes to pass, but if we can get Ms. Noack's back to get her vote, it'd be great.
Yeah, I think we lost her.
All right, we lost her. It's still majority is voted in favor of the motion, so it passes, and we'll, when Renell gets back on, just to record her vote, we'll get it back. So that's it for Jason, Mayor.
Thank you. Reports of the municipal boards and commissions. Mr. Hips, the Planning Commission?
No report this evening.
Okay. Recreation Board, I would like to meet next month, the first Thursday of the month, if I could, on what we're doing right now online. I'm not sure what the date is, the first Thursday. Brad, do you know what the first Thursday is of September?
Looking it up, it looks like it is September 3rd.
Okay, September 3rd at 6:30. I'd like to have one in the office suite like we're doing right now.
Okay. Let's remind, if Renell gets back, let's remind to mention that to her.
Will
She
do.
just texted me and said she's trying to reconnect.
Okay, thanks, Jen.
Welcome.
And that date again was, Brad?
September 3rd.
September 3rd. Cemetery Board has not met, so there's nothing to discuss on the cemetery as of right now. Moving on to the reports of standing committees. Mr. Magistrelli is not present. Does anyone on finance have anything for us tonight? Hearing none, moving on. Roads and Public Works, Ms. Domzalski.
No report this evening, Mayor.
Health and Welfare, Mr. Scher.
No report.
Wages and Working Conditions, Mr. Vojtush.
No report, Mayor.
Fire and Safety, Renell is trying to reconnect. Does anyone on that committee have anything for us tonight?
No, sir.
Okay, moving on. Buildings and Grounds, Mr. Hips.
No report.
Legislation, Brad.
Mayor, first we have ordinance 2020-22, an emergency ordinance amending section 660.14, the codified ordinances relating to unclean premises on third reading. So I don't know if anyone wants to make a motion to pass this evening.
Yes, I would. I will make that motion.
Okay, motion
I'll
by Mr.
second that.
Domzowski, seconded by, was it Mr. Vojtich?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm back on.
Okay,
Welcome
great,
back.
Renell. Just to review where we're at, we're on the first ordinance, number 2020-22. It's on third reading. Jen made a motion to pass. Gary seconded it, and I will call for the vote. Mr. Scher,
Yes.
Ms. Noack,
Yes.
Mr. Vojtich,
Yes.
Mr. Hips,
Yes.
Ms. Domzowski.
Yes.
Okay, the ordinance passes. And just to review, Renell, when you missed, did you have any fire and safety report?
I do. I had a talk with the chief last night, and he first off wanted to thank everybody for getting the vehicle passed, and he has that on order. And then he will be sending later on this evening or tomorrow over some information on new radios for the police force. And we can go ahead and look at that, and then we can discuss at the next meeting.
Okay.
And that's
Great.
it.
And with respect to the recreation board, the mayor said he wanted to schedule an online recreation board meeting for Thursday, September 3rd at 6:30. So is that? are you
Thursday?
available then?
Thursday, our meetings are
Brad,
normally
Brad.
on Wednesday.
Yes.
Yeah, they're on Wednesdays.
All right, so it'd be Wednesday, September 2nd.
Okay. Mayor, are you going to be having something sent out for all the members then?
I will. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, and then the only other
Brad?
item, Renell, was we had a motion on the approval of that retention berm on the plaza property. The proposal was $6,625. The cost of that project from Stewart Landscaping. We took the vote. There were sufficient votes to pass with 3 yes votes, 1 no vote, but we just want to record your vote to make sure you're on record for that.
Yes.
Yes? Okay, thank you.
Yes.
All right, then proceeding with the legislation, we have ordinance number 2020-23, an emergency ordinance amending section 1490.075 of the codified ordinances relating to exterior property areas on second reading. And again, that's kind of a companion ordinance with the previous one we passed. This is under the building code, the housing code section. The other one was under the criminal code.
I'll make a motion to skip the 3 readings.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Vojtich to suspend the 3 reading rule. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Domzowski. Here,
Yes.
Ms. Noack,
Yes.
Mr. Vojtich,
Yes.
Mr. Hips,
Yes.
Ms. Domzowski.
Yes.
Motion's passed. Is there a motion to adopt the ordinance?
So moved.
Motion for passage or second?
Yeah, motion by Ms. Domzowski, seconded by Mr. Vojtich. Any questions? Okay, Mr. Scherer,
Yes.
Ms. Noack,
Yes.
Mr. Vojtich,
Yes.
Mr. Hips,
Yes.
Ms. Domzowski.
Yes.
Okay, the ordinance passes. Next, we have resolution number 2020-27, an emergency resolution authorizing certain amendments to the 2020 appropriation resolution and/or transferring items already appropriated in that resolution on first reading. And the finance director discussed this legislation earlier.
I'd like to suspend the 3 reading.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Noack, seconded by Mr. Hips to suspend the 3 reading rule. Mr. Scherer,
Yes.
Ms. Noack,
Yes.
Mr. Vojtich,
Yes.
Mr. Hips,
Yes.
Ms. Domzowski.
Yes.
Motion's approved. Is there a motion to pass?
Motion to pass?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Noack, seconded by Ms. Domzowski. Any questions? Okay, hearing none. Mr. Scherer,
Yes.
Ms. Noack,
Yes.
Mr. Vojtich,
Yes.
Mr. Hips,
Yes.
Ms. Domzowski.
Yes.
Okay, the resolution passes. Next, we have resolution number 2020-28, an emergency resolution confirming the mayor's appointment of Jesse Furco to the Recreation Board on first reading.
I'd like to suspend the 3 reading.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Noack, seconded by Mr. Hips to suspend the 3 reading rule. Mr. Scherer,
Yes.
Ms. Noack,
Yes.
Mr. Vojtich,
Yes.
Mr. Hips,
Yes.
Ms. Domzowski.
Yes.
Motion's approved. Is there a motion to pass?
Motion to pass?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Noack, seconded by Ms. Domzowski. Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Ms. Noack,
Yes.
Mr. Vojtish,
Yes.
Mr. Hips,
Yes.
Ms. Domzowski.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passed. Next, we have resolution number 2020-29. An emergency resolution confirming the mayor, director of public safety's appointment of Christian Boback as a part-time firefighter paramedic. First reading.
Motion to skip the 3 readings.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Vojtish, seconded by Mr. Hips. Chair,
Yes.
Ms. Noack,
Yes.
Vojtish,
Yes.
Mr. Hips,
Yes.
Ms. Domzowski.
Yes.
Okay, motion's approved. And is there a motion
Motion
to
for
pass?
passage.
Second.
Motion for passage.
Motion by Mr. Vojtish to pass, seconded by Ms. Noack. Mr. Sheriff,
Yes.
Ms. Noack,
Yes.
Vojtish,
Yes.
Mr. Hips,
Yes.
Domzowski.
Yes.
Okay, resolution's passed. Next, we have resolution 2020-30, an emergency resolution directing the certification of delinquent grass, weed cutting, and property cleanup bills to the county fiscal officer for placement on the tax duplicate on first reading.
I'd like to suspend the
Like to
3
skip
reading.
the 3.
Motion by Ms. Noack, seconded by Mr. Vojtish. Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Ms. Noack,
Yes.
Mr. Vojtish,
Yes.
Mr. Hips,
Yes.
Ms. Domzowski.
Yes.
Is there a motion to pass?
Motion to pass.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Noack, seconded by Mr. Vojtish. Mr. Sheriff,
Yes.
Ms. Noack,
Yes.
Mr. Vojtish,
Yes.
Mr. Hips,
Yes.
Ms. Domzowski.
Yes.
Okay, the resolution's passed. Next, we have resolution number 2020-31, an emergency resolution directing the certification of delinquent sewer maintenance bills and the county fiscal officer for placement on the tax duplicate on first reading. Is there a motion to suspend the 3 reading rule?
Motion to suspend.
Motion by Mr. Vojtish. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Domzowski. Mr. Scher,
Yes.
Ms. Noack,
Yes.
Mr. Vojtish,
Yes.
Mr. Hips,
Yes.
Ms. Domzowski.
Yes.
Okay, motion's approved. Is there a motion to pass?
Motion to pass.
Motion by Ms. Noack. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Vojtish. Mr. Scher,
Yes.
Ms. Noack,
Yes.
Mr. Vojtish,
Yes.
Mr. Hips,
Yes.
Ms. Domzowski.
Yes.
Okay, the resolution is adopted. Next, we have resolution 2020-32, an emergency resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a property donation agreement with Deborah Boots, executor of the estate Jean M. Keno, and accept the donation of real property known as 10414 Electric Boulevard to the village. And I talked with Ms. Boots this morning. There's been a development, so we have to put this legislation on hold and pull it. There is an issue with her brother objecting to the donation. She's assured me she has the authority to do this and has the intent to do so, but there may be some proceedings in the probate court with the estate that need to be sorted out so that it's clear that she has the authority to do so and it would be properly transferred. So if we can hold off on that. And again, she said she fully intends to make this donation, but we may have to wait for that matter to be solved. And then the last resolution is resolution 2020-33, an emergency resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a lease agreement with New Plaza Management LLC in connection with the Village of Northfield Road Stormwater Detention Berm Project on first reading.
Brad, I have a question. Is this part of what we just did
Stewart.
with Jason?
Yes, we approved the motion for the cost of the work. This is to approve the lease with the plaza, would be leasing us the property to allow us to do the work to be done on its property. And the lease is at no charge to the village. The village is just responsible for the project and maintaining the property where the project would be, which is essentially the strip of grass between where the handles pavement ends and the sidewalk. Between that area, there's a grass area. So it's kind of like a soft semicircle. It goes in that area and then kind of wraps around.
Yeah, I saw the map, so I'd like to suspend the 3 reading, please.
Okay,
Second that motion.
a motion by Ms. Noack, seconded by Mr. Voitish. Mr. Scher,
Yes.
Ms. Noack,
Yes.
Mr. Voitish,
Yes.
Mr. Hips,
No.
Ms. Domzowski.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Is there a
Make a
motion
motion to approve.
motion by Mr. Voitish?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Scher. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Mr. Scher,
Yes.
Ms. Noack,
Yes.
Mr. Voitish,
Yes.
Mr. Hips,
No.
Domzowski.
I'm sorry. I'm trying so hard to get this legislation to pull up and it's not. I apologize. I was trying to look at it and it crashed on me.
You have any questions?
No, I don't. So, yes, I'm sorry.
Okay, the resolution's adopted and that's it for the legislation, Mayor.
At this time, is there any old business, new business, or announcements?
Yes, Mayor, I would just like to, on behalf of the council and everyone, we'd like to express our sympathies to Jason for the loss of his grandmother, and also for our prayers for Lisa Rodriguez for the surgery that she had this week.
Thanks, Renaud.
Thank you, Renaud. Does anyone else have anything? Hearing none, do I hear adjournment?
I'd like to make a motion for adjournment.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Domzowski, seconded by Ms. Noack. Mr. Scher,
Yes.
Ms. Noack,
Yes.
Mr. Voitish,
Yes.
Mr. Hips,
Yes.
Ms. Domzowski.
Yes, I'm sorry. I couldn't get off mute.
Great. All right, we're adjourned at 8:37. Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Stay
you.
safe, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Jason, Bus, are you still here?
Jen?
Oh, there you are.